Hi everyone, welcome again to my YouTube channel Fantastic Computer Geek. In the last lecture, I have shown you some coding example of storage class. There I have given you some coding example theories that I have taught before that lecture. Now I think all your doubts have been cleared on a storage class. So in this lecture, I come with you a new topic on programming, that is arrays. Okay. Actually, arrays are part of data structure. Arrays are widely used in structural pointers, which comes under C programming language. Arrays can be found in pointers and structure, which I have to taught, comes under the curriculum of C programming language. For that purpose, I have to introduce array itself here. So this is only just conceptual lecture where I will not go into the technical details of the arrays. I will just provide you some vague example of how you can understand arrays, what is its practical implication, and why we need arrays in C. Okay, arrays is basically user defined data structure which is a continuous block of some data. Okay, I will come into the official definition of arrays in this lecture. I will just give you some visualization of arrays. Okay, so stay tuned with me. So without wasting time, let's begin. So now first of all, you can see a diagram here. What is this? Some of you might be knowing it. This is actually a solar panel of satellites man-made satellite being sent into the space. So you can see here something like that here, that something continuous, some blocks are given here. You can see this block is attached with this, then this, then this, then this, and it is going continue up till this. Okay, you can see it here. Okay, hope you are saying it. So this is a classical example of arrays. You can see here just a continuous block of something. Okay, this is the basic concept of arrays. Okay, hope it is making some more sense to you. Those who are new to array, it may confuse at the beginning. That's why I will taught you from very beginning of this lecture. Okay, so that the concept will cemented in your mind. Okay, and those who already know new array, have studied in Java and some other programming language, can also refer to the lecture as if they have some concept left behind. If they some loopholes are in their concept, so they can also watch it. Okay, so next continue now. Now you can see here something like Rubik cube size, and it's moving in some grid structure like that. Okay, so these are, you can consider the one cube as a one block. Okay, single block. It is continuous block. You can see here this and this something continuous structure type. Okay, this is actually how arrays work in our system. Okay, so I will come into, you will might not be getting into this, might not be understanding, but let me give you some primitive concept which will help you to understand this one. Okay, so you can see it, this is some continuous block of things here. Okay, so why we need array and from where the concept of array come, now we will see that. Okay, so what is this? So most of the viewer know this is a RAM actually. Okay, random access memory, which is electronics, we can say electronic gadgets that store your memory in electronic way. That's why it's volatile. Okay, and whenever the electricity will pass through, then the data will only store. That's why it is volatile here. So you can see here there are four different color chip here. Let me just show you. Okay, this one, first one, second one. You can see here four different chips are here. So which is actually 4 GB RAM. You can say in a vague term. One each chip is of 1 GB. Okay, so it is electronic chip. And this is the slot which are attached in a computer in your motherboard. Okay, this slot, some of you, if you have opened your computer, might have seen it. This is printed in some slot here. Okay, so this is basically a RAM. So most important thing, suppose you write something here like this. Okay, like you write something here like int. So in our program, okay, in our blocks, so where this variable are stored, I have already told you that it's created a process. If you have remembered from a previous lesson, that it creates a process which will be divided into actually 4 parts: first, second, and some vague here. Okay, something like stack, you already knowing this. Okay, and this is something like heap, something like that, and this is our space. So this is our process. Okay, so where this process is actually created, it is actually created in our main memory. Okay, something like that. This is our RAM actually, and main memory is actually our RAM. Okay, so here itself the process is reside somewhere. Okay, itself this part. So this part can be here. Okay, for understanding, just understand that this part is something like that, this chip actually. So this is a part of our chip where our process is stored, and where a variable we declared is local variable. Suppose this is declared built-in function, so it is local variable. So it will store in our where in our stack section here, and this is also a part of memory which reside in our RAM, and this RAM contain in this chip, which is also a part of this chip. Okay, so this chip will something like that. It is some grid type structure here. So if you see this structure in an electron microscope, you will find that this type of some grid structure there. In there somewhere the space is allocated for variable A. Okay, something like that. Okay, so this is actually our variable A stored. So let me just zoom out this structure and also show you the microscopic view of this RAM. Okay, you will understand it better. Okay, moving on. So here you can see that some zoom out version of our RAM. Okay, in somewhat not in microscopic view but some extent. Okay, so you can see the chip here. I am going to now show you the electron microscopic view of this chip. Okay, how does this chip actually look like, you know, when it's seen in my electron microscope. Okay, so now let me show you that. So here you can see the chip view of microscopic view of the chip, RAM chip. Okay, so here you can find this some grid structure like that. Okay, if you are getting it, and some rectangular blocks if you form it as cell. Okay, rows and column are there. So this is our RAM. Okay, so hope you remember the topic of data type, where I have explained you about that what is the size of this data entry data type is dependent on machine to machine. So suppose our machine is x64, so you can see here, and in data type here is, suppose imagine that it is 2 byte. Okay, so 2 byte is means what, 16 bit. Okay, each bit is count, each bit is being count. Okay, count means there will be 16 bit there, and each cell is of 1 bit. Okay, remember this point, each cell is of 1 bit. Okay, so suppose there are two, so it will require 2 cell. Okay, so each cell will contain 8 bits here. Okay, something like that, 8 bits, and here also 8 bits. So this is the way that our space are allocated in our RAM. Okay, so now let me show you some more example. So you can see here that suppose I declared some variables here, like suppose int A, float B, int C, float D, something, 4 variables were declared. Okay, so now you can see here int A, int float B, and int C and float D, 4 different variable declared. Now let me now zoom out this part. Okay, and show you how actually this variable can be stored in this grids always. Okay, in a cell, each cell, or how many bytes it is containing. You know that int is of 2 bytes. Suppose I am assuming next system is x64, so our int is of 2 bytes and float is of 4 byte. Okay, so assuming that, let me now show you the how these are internally stored in this part here. Okay, so now let me show you that. So this is our zoom out version of this grid. Okay, this is actually 1 bit, each cell is of 1 bit, which is actually is combinedly I'm not declaring here, but it is, this chip can be of 1024. This actually matrix is of 1024. Suppose here I am writing it here, 1024 into 1024 KB here. Okay, not KB, MB here. Okay, suppose MB here. So it will be actually 1024 MB, and 1024 MB it will actually 2 power 20, which is actually a 1 GB here. Okay, something like that. It can be anything. I'm just 2 power 10 here. Okay, and 2 power 10 here, so it will become 2 power 20, which is 1 MB. Okay, 2 power 20 here, which will equal to 1 MB. Actually 2 power 30 is equal to 1 GB. Okay, so somewhat you have to make it 2 power 30 here. So how can you make it? So suppose imagine, so you might not be understanding this part. Okay, so leave it, it is actually part of the digital electronics, so don't go into that. Okay, so just imagine that each entire chip is of 1 GB actually. Okay, and 1 GB is equal to 2 power 30 here. Okay, I am not able to do this right now, but it will be somewhat 2 power 30 here. Okay, just remember this. I will show you in some other lecture here. Okay, it's also not a scope of this lecture, so I am not discussing this in detail, so that's why I am missing some point of this, hence I am not able to get to about 30 here, which is equal to 1 GB. Okay, so leave it from now, just understand it here, how the data is actually stored here. So you can see here, so this is covered 2 cell. I have told you that each cell is of 2 byte, and suppose this is covering 4 cell of all, so each cell of is 4 byte. Okay, so now suppose Suppose in this previous slides you might have seen that, if you remember it, there are 4 values actually. To suppose I am writing the first 2 variable, okay, int a, and store something like that variable, something you can store anything. So you can suppose I store 23 here, and some float variable was also there, float b. Suppose I store here 12.26 something, okay. So this is, suppose we are storing this variable. So whenever we store this variable, it will be stored in binary form, okay. It will be of 16-bit binary of 23, okay. You can, I'm just writing it vaguely here, okay. So don't try to match it here. 23 not equal to this one, okay. So 23 is stored in 16-bit. If you are familiar with the binary number, you can easily do it. Otherwise, leave it. So just remember this number, when whatever assigned using decimal number system will be stored in binary in our RAM chip, okay. So this is actually int a and float b here, okay. So similarly it can be anywhere, okay. Don't think like that it will only present it is always stored here. It can be stored anywhere here, okay, randomly anywhere. I'm just, for example sake, I'm showing you like this, okay. Don't assume that it will be stored in first byte of that RAM chip, okay, for understanding sake. And suppose this is our int c variable, and again float d here. So you can see one common is here. Actually the variable c and variable a have common data type, that is integer here, okay. You can see here, some of you might have seen int a and int c. So int a, and can we do better thing, and if this is a same type of data type, can we store with same same block, or you can say simultaneously, can we combine this simultaneously? If we combine this simultaneously, it will be helpful for us to accessing the data, because actually these are 2 variables, so you can store it in same place. If you store it in different place, then something fragmentation will be happen. Okay, I will not go into the fragmentation part yet. So suppose for understanding sake, we can how can we combine these 2 and these 2 float combine these 2 into one structure, something of it is of say 4 byte, and this is a 4 byte, so it will be of 16 byte something, 16 byte of same data type, okay. Float a here b variable and d variable, similarly with these 2, okay. Can we do that? So, and where we need this actually, okay, how this is helpful? Suppose you want to write some code here. Suppose you want to, for example sake, I'm giving you, suppose you write a code like name of different student, data of some student, like you have created a separate section block of code for each student. So here, what is the common thing in student here? You can see that common thing is name, common thing is role. So it will be easier to declare. Suppose we have 16 student in our class, okay. Let me clear this all. So suppose we have 16 student here, okay. Let me just 16 student, 16, okay. So each student will have name, he will have role, and suppose you have 2 variables. For this is for student 1, okay, s1, and similarly for s2, and so on for 16, s16, okay. So instead of, it will be a name, all the names will be of same data type, that will be of char, okay. Suppose we have, this is char variable, suppose name has data type of char, and role will have data type actually int, okay. Suppose for example say, so these 2 data type are same, for similarly for 16 children. So instead of declaring all the likes here int a and int b, same concept, can we declare it in a 16 block here, continuous block, and we can access each one with one single variable, okay, one single assignment. We will get into this later when we discuss about arrays, okay. Actually, so I'm just giving you a vague idea what array will gonna actually have here. So keep patience here, okay. Don't get panic if you're not understanding it. You will definitely understand after the end of this episodes, all the episodes which contain arrays, okay. So don't worry about it. I'm for just understanding sake telling you that, okay. So okay, indices will be there, something like that. I will also discuss it here, okay. I will discuss in next lecture. For just in understanding sake, for understand that for 16 letter we have created a array size of 16, okay. Actually which is of same type, which is integer. So array is actually was continuous block of similar data type, okay. Hope you're getting it here, okay. So now by using diagrammatic representation, let me show you how we can combine these 2, which I have discussed there, and how we'll combine these 2, okay, these 2, okay. So let's see that now. So now you can see it here, okay. So this is actually our first variable, okay, and this is our command variable. In the previous slide you have seen that these two are very different position. Now we are using the constructor of array, we combine these two. Okay, so how we can combine these two? Actually this is combined using, you know, okay, so in computer in code actually. So we will return the data type and variable name something, and using the square bracket we represent array here. Okay, remember this point. So how many block are there? 1 and 2. Each of block will 2 bytes. So it will actually, we will declare 2. How many variable we needed, how many blocks we needed, we declared here, and our compiler will automatically assign the variable in a continuous block. Remember this point, array is continuous block always, don't forget it. It is not randomly present anywhere, it is combinedly present in a row measure or column measure, which we will discuss it later. So just remember it is always in continuous blocks. So we need 2 variable here, so 2 data. So suppose we have 16 students in our previous example, we have to create 16 array here, 16 length array here. Okay, so hope you are getting it. So this way there's something, you know, so this is syntax here, you can see it here. So similarly the float part here. Okay, now you might have some idea about why we need array and how it is useful to us and how it is, you know, actually assigned in our system. Okay, so hope you get it. If you have any doubt, please rewatch the video, or still you have a doubt, please ask in the comment section, and otherwise wait for the next lecture. Okay, don't worry about it, your doubts will be clear. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so now moving on. So that's all to today. I'm just try to give you some vague example of how array actually work in our system. I'm not going into the detail in this lecture. Okay, so it is just introductory lecture about some basic concept how array actually work in a system by using the visual aids here. Okay, so hope it is clear to you and this lecture is helpful to you. So thanks for watching, see you soon.